Items can be very, very useful in helping us to organize our designs, as well as to use some bulk operations, such as maybe changing colors of a whole bunch of different bodies or translating a whole bunch of different bodies all at the same time. So for example here I have a fairly simple coffee table design, and if I was just to double tap on the top of my design here, I can see that it looks like this design is actually three unique bodies. The top wooden plank there, the side wooden plank here, and the metal frame as well. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, I have the items tool here, and currently it's showing me these three unique bodies. So I have a bunch of different tools and options I can use within this new panel. First off, within this panel, you might notice in the bottom left-hand corner, I have a pin icon, so I can pin this new panel here if I would like. And of course, just the same, I can unpin the panel. I have a number of options for each body, so if I just tap on one of these bodies here, we can see that will automatically highlight the body within my design. I also have a little eyeball icon here, so I can tap on that icon there. And now I see that this is hiding my first body, the frame of my coffee table in this case. And just the same, I can tap that again to unhide that body. And notice by default, each new body that I've created is just given the name body. But of course, if I'd like to maybe better organize this design, I might want to give these a name that makes a little bit more sense. So for my first body here, which is just my metallic frame in this case, I can just swipe to the right and get a few more options here. I have, of course, the option to delete this body if I no longer want it or need to get rid of this body, and that would be the trash icon there. I also have a magnifying glass icon that I can tap on, and that will just kind of zoom me in exactly into this body. That's very handy, especially in larger designs. Imagine instead of 3 bodies, I have 100 bodies. To zoom in on one particular body would be, of course, quite useful. And finally, I have the option to change the name or rename. That'll be my middle icon here. And now I might want to give this a more useful name, so instead of just body as given by the default, I might call this frame. And say OK. And now just the same, I'd probably like to rename my other 2 bodies here as well. So this body looks like it's the kind of step up on my coffee table there. And I could rename this, of course, to small step, perhaps. And finally, I have my tabletop, and maybe I'll just rename that to tabletop. Something like this. So now I can see I have the same 3 bodies, but given some more useful names here. Now, I also have the ability to organize my bodies even further using folders. So down in the bottom left there, right beside my pin icon, I have a create new folder icon, so I can tap to create a folder. And in just the same way, now I have a new empty folder, and I could rename this folder just the same. Maybe I'll call one folder, say, wood. And I'm going to put all my wooden bodies within this folder. And then maybe I'll create one more folder and maybe rename that to be metal. Or maybe I'll put all my metal components into this folder. Now, to move any bodies into an empty folder, really quite simple. I can just tap down on the body itself. So let's start with small step here. Hold for a second, and now you can see I'm kind of moving that body, and I can throw it in any particular area as needed. In this case, I'm going to throw it into my wood folder. Now I can see I have my wood folder here, and if I take a look inside that folder, it has one body, of course, that small step body. Just the same, let's throw in the tabletop as well here. And throw that into my wood folder. And just the same, I'll then tap and move my frame into my metal folder. So now I've organized these bodies even further, such that all my wooden bodies will be in the wood folder, all my metal bodies will be in the metal folder. And just the same now, if I tap on the entire folder, notice it's highlighting all the shapes or all the bodies within that folder. So both pieces of wood in this case. And I can hide, show, and all the other same options for the individual bodies there as well, delete, and so on. And of course I can go into that folder and then only take a look at one of the objects or bodies within that folder, or hide a single body instead of all bodies, and so on. So it just gives you one more layer of organizing your bodies. What's also handy to note is whenever you're creating new bodies, they'll be automatically placed in whatever existing folder you might be in. So say, for example, if I go into the metal folder here, now, if I were to create any new bodies or new objects, they're going to be automatically placed into that metal folder. So let's say, for example, I'd like to close off the side of my coffee table with a sheet metal part here as an example. So I could just add that part there. And now if I took a look into my bodies, I can see that my new body here has been placed directly into that metal folder that I was just in. And again, maybe I'll rename that to sheet closure or something like this. And now I can see I have two bodies within my metal folder here. A number of reasons why this can be useful, especially when you get to more complex designs with lots of bodies. But now, for example, if I wanted to change the color of two objects very quickly, instead of having to select each object or each body individually, I can grab an entire folder or multiple folders. So let's say I want to change the color of both of my metal components here to be the same color, of course. And I'll choose some metallic color, such as this. In this case, just a slight time saver because it's only two bodies, but of course you can imagine if you were doing the same with, say, 25 different bodies. In a very similar manner, if you ever have to remove a body from a folder, I could go back into that metal folder here, and maybe I want to remove that sheet closure body for whatever reason. I can just tap for a second on that sheet closure, move it up, go above the kind of heading there, and now it jumps me back into my main area, and I can just drop this outside of my original two folders. So now I can see that part here is outside of the two folders, and just the same, I could tap select for a second and throw it into wood, or of course back into metal, as I'd probably prefer here. In addition to all of this, if I tap on bodies there up at the top, I see I have very, very similar options for bodies, sketches, planes, and images, and these all work in the very, very similar manner. I can rename, delete, highlight, hide and show, and so on. So the items tools here are just very, very handy to help you organize your more complex designs, as well as using some bulk operations.